Alrighty, looks like we are live. And we are starting up something that I've had in the plans for quite a while now. It's the Pokemon Shield Heightlocke, and I should probably just go with the guy who's as pale as me. Welcome to the stream, Rafkin. Okay, time to mash through text for the next couple of minutes. So, as a reminder, the limitation with the Heightlocke is that we can only use Pokemon 2 feet tall or short. Unfortunately, this means that none of our starter options will be able to evolve, so we really will be going all in on just not having much to work with. I am just getting my list pulled up. Because I'm pretty sure I'm remembering right that all of the starters hit 2'4" after one evolution. Oh, no, Reboot can evolve. Or, Scorbunny can evolve once. So we can have a Reboot, which is probably the starter we'd want to go with anyway. Okay, give me a second here and I'll finally be able to change some settings to hopefully speed this up a little bit. So other than the 2-foot tall restriction, the only other restriction I don't have on all of my Nuzlockes is that I am banning Dynamax. Normally I wouldn't. I actually don't usually bother banning the regional gimmicks. But Dynamax kind of contrasts pretty directly with the idea of a Heightlocke. So I don't really plan to go that route. So yeah, no Pokemon over 2 feet tall, no Dynamax. And I think I've explained this before, but I feel like it bears repeating. There's a reason that I don't usually ban the regional gimmick in the later games. It's simply that it's part of what defines the game. And that's part of what I like to experience when I'm doing Nuzlocks. The other reason is that I try to avoid a bloat of extra rules. I feel like it's just really easy in Pokemon game, in Nuzlocke, to start adding on rule after rule after rule. And the hardcore Nuzlocke rules are already pretty involved. So I don't really want to screw with them. So again, the only reason that I'm banning Dynamax is that it really does just feel like it's against the spirit of a Heightlocke. I'm not allowed to go through the grass yet, so we just gotta keep going with this continuous cutscene. Oh my, those frames. Oh, Sobble. Always loved Sobble, the little curved hands. Sobble just attempted a murder. That'll work. I don't really have a detailed naming scheme in mind. I was thinking maybe like famous short people and characters, but I honestly don't know how well I'll be able to think of them off the top of my head. Also, I don't think we're going to be getting a tiger, so I think Taiga from Toradora works fine here. Oh, poor soul. You're stuck with this idiot. I'm totally going to wipe to this guy at least once. Like, for sure. Alright, so, our first... Obviously, we've got our first battle about to get started. I forgot to add an attempt counter to the title. Sorry, I'm pulling up some kind of unrelated stuff, if I'm honest. There you are. Alright. So part of the trick with this run is that we're definitely going to be encountering some Pokemon who... or some routes where we can't really guarantee our preferred encounter. And if we start chaining together the worst encounters available, this run could go south real fast. So for example, our next encounter will be on Route 1 to the north. And our best bet is getting an encounter in the grass. I really should just have these screens pulled up next to each other. And the reason we want the grass is that we're kind of hoping for Blipbug. Because that would be a Pokemon that we can fully evolve without making it too tall. But it also gives us a 40% chance at a Squavit. And Squavit is also a decent encounter again. It can fully evolve, just not into something quite as valuable, at least in my opinion. So our first encounter is going to be in just random in the grass. We could guarantee a Squavit in the overworld, but that means that we miss out on the chance for Blipbug until Route 2, but there are other prime targets on Route 2 as well. But also give us pretty much a free matchup into the first gym, which already shouldn't be that much trouble because we've got Scorbunny, but having something that's partly evolved would help as well. Let's check the summary on you while we're at it. Neutral nature? Yeah, I'll take that. The unfortunate fact is that if we get the wrong encounter in the grass, it's going to be a real stinker, because I think Hoot Hoot and Caterpie are both legal height. Grubbin is okay-ish, but not great. It can evolve once. But Butterfree and Noctowl are way too big for that. Okay, Hoot Hoot isn't legal, that's good. Okay, now the part where it's possible to lose is about to start. Do I have Pokeballs? Yes, I do. Alright, let's take a risk. Looks like we're getting Squirtle. I was hoping otherwise, but there are worse choices. I guess I'll be lazy and keep coming up with the names of anime characters. I'm just gonna get a couple of quick levels for this guy. Okay, Freerin might be able to handle this alone. See, there is the option to try and get a random Litbug encounter in the grass on Route 2. I have a Pokemon who I think is a bit higher priority. Hang on, while I'm thinking about it. I have this set to the right date and time, right? Okay. Had to check. At some point we will probably wind up at some point we'll probably wind up switching the date a couple of times, because that will give us access to specific wild area encounters based on the weather. Alright. I thought there was an item over there. Alright. So the trick of this run is that, apart from the wild area, our options are pretty limited, because we're trying to build up, while also getting the Pokemon that we're gonna need to bring down the first few gyms. The grass gym is usually pretty easy, but we will probably wind up needing some smart switching in order to deal with the Dynamax. Especially since most of our early encounters have at least some potential, so I don't necessarily want to throw any away. The only exception is going to be the Slowpoke that we can get when we backtrack to here. Now, I'm pretty sure by catching a Pokemon, we've already skipped the catching tutorial. But... Okay, that's handy. Let's just round it off at 20. Those orange berries are handy in the early game for Nuzlockes. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah. At a certain point, we're going to trigger the Isle of Armor event that lets you get access to the island. When that happens, we can come back here to the train station and catch a Slowpoke. And I believe Slowpoke is within the height limit. Oh, no, never mind. Okay, and here I was thinking we would have at least one easily sacrificial, one easy sacrifice. Words are not functioning right now. And I'm pretty sure we have skipped the tutorial. Unfortunately, our best option on this route is the rarest Pokemon on this route. So we're just gonna run back and forth a little bit here to load and unload the area until we get a 2% encounter rate Pokemon to show up. And I don't really see a reason to go beyond the first patch of grass, because that'll just make us have to travel farther to get the area to deload. So the Pokemon we're trying for here is Zigzagoon, because Galarian Zigzagoon has a few traits that should be very helpful. It evolves at pretty low level, we can evolve it into Linoon even if we can't turn it into Obstagoon. And it's a dark type, which pairs well with the first TM we get access to in at the end of this route. But like I said, 2% chance for it to spawn. It is an overworld encounter though, so we can guarantee it, we can lock it in. We do need to make sure that we don't encounter anything else. Actually trying to remember real quick. Yeah, so theoretically we could also go for it on Route 3, but if we don't get it on Route 3... you know what, actually... No, that's the wrong thought process, because we don't need Gossifleur before Route 3. So let's go ahead and roll the dice on the random encounter and hope for our 40% Blip Bug. Hey, we got it. Okay, so this little guy should... This little guy should ensure our matchup into the first gym. And it'll evolve at level 10, which will make life a bit easier for us. And it comes with a decent stab, which is nice. Now, I was going to name this guy Jiminy, as in Jiminy Cricket, but it's a girl, so... I guess you can be Velma? So you got glasses? How is my entire team female? Because I'm pretty sure every one of these has a lower encounter chance for female Pokemon. Oh, let's see. Gender ratio on this guy... Okay, no, it's 50-50 for you. And same for Squavit. But Scorbunny, it's only a 1 in 8 chance. I don't know why Cerebi has such absurdly specific numbers for the... Oh, I'm dumb. I ran right past the Pokemon Center. Like, surely it isn't 11.86% to encounter a female Scorbunny. Right? That's just, like, a number they put in through testing before anyone could data scrape the game. Data mine the game. Okay, we are going to take a second. Actually, I will do my best to remember not to keep it on that setting long term. Anyway, we'll probably go until Scorbunny is about level 10. Then we box it and get the other two more or less caught up. Oh, you know, I haven't checked abilities on any of these guys. Hang on. Your ability is Cheek Pouch. Okay, I think that's the... Okay, that's the only option there, so there's no question for that one. It's pretty decent anyway. And yours is Compound Eyes, which I think is literally useless. I don't think this thing learns any inaccurate moves. Oh, it does get Compound Eyes Hypnosis. Okay, so that could turn some fights around. Until that happens, though, it is completely useless. Yeah, that's the only move that it cares about. Also, despite being okayishly tanky, its offenses really aren't anything impressive. It's just got an okay offensive typing for some of the matches in this game. And nature-wise, neutral nature, neutral nature. So I probably would have preferred Swarm, especially because I don't think we can get a wide lens in this game. So I can't bump those hypnoses up to 100% accuracy. Best I can do is like 70%. Where are my flinches? Let's see. Actually, it'll be just shy of 80% accuracy. Which still, honestly, isn't that great. I definitely would have preferred Swarm to give it a buff to its bug-type moves, especially for the first gym battle, but we can make it work, and a dual screen setter isn't a bad thing to have. In fact, there's a chance that that by itself gets us through the gym battle, just being able to set up light screen, put the brakes on the opposing Pokemon. For what it's worth, this is probably the only stream where we'll have significant grinding, because once we've hit the wild area, I'll be able to spend some, well, unless we wipe. Only the early game should have any real grinding in this. Once we hit the wild area, as is standard with my Nuzlockes, I allow myself to grind for materials from raid dens off stream. I don't count any deaths that happen during that time, because frankly, I just don't think that it adds any value to the run to take that into account. Because all of the resources that come from the dens in the wild area are theoretically available for free. There are ways to get those resources, but they take time, whereas grinding raid dens is pretty quick. So I'd much rather do that. Now, as far as Route 2 goes, there are a couple of unavoidable battles, but most of them shouldn't be that much trouble. Might actually be going a little bit overkill. According to Sarah, the hot battle at the end of this route is only level 8, not level 12 like I was thinking. I must have been thinking of the one right after Motostoke. And I apologize for the lack of speed up. I don't have a special speed up Nintendo Switch. Alright, we're getting there. Come on, guys, you can do it. Alright. Next time we have to head to the Pokémon Center, I'll stop this round. So, whenever Velma here drops below 50%. Okay, well... apparently that's happening sooner than I thought. Alright, time to beat up a small child's squirrel. This thing's actually pretty high level for us. It's level 6. Means we're not that far ahead. But at the same time, we have 3 Pokemon to his 1. Now we do have to switch out of that tail whip defense drop, because I'm pretty sure a crit would kill now. I might just deal with this girl. Shoodle is pretty bulky, but the chances of me accidentally running in front of her at some point are pretty high. And again, 3 Pokemon to 1. Besides, it's not that durable on the special side. And it doesn't have any biting moves to take advantage of Strong Jaw. Alright, now we back up and grab a heal. least the music in this game is good. I mean, I'm a lot less fond, I think, of the gym battle theme than a lot of other people seem to be. But overall, I like the music in this game. Okay, we're not grinding. I should turn this back on. Luckily, as long as I'm hitting first, this thing should be getting its special attack tanked. I've never done a Sword and Shield Nuzlocke on this stream. I was going to say that I was about to correct myself, but no, the one I did on launch was before I started streaming. Really? Back-to-back crits? I've done a couple of them. I finished an electric monologue, and then I lost motivation on a ground monologue. Weirdly enough, the ground monologue was kind of absurd the first couple of gyms. I had to grind for a Dragon Dance TM to use on a Chesto Rest Whiscash in order to give myself a safe shot at the first gym. Or not Whiscash, Barboach. It couldn't evolve into Whiscash with the level cap. Alright, tech smashing, here we go. So why is Sonia's room the only bedroom in the house? I guess her parents just sleep in that little conservatory. Alright, access to the first TM of the run. TM access is going to be pretty important. Although I don't think that anyone on our team can learn... Oh, Freerun can learn Payback. Nice. Freerun's pretty slow, so that's a decent move pairing as well. Alright. This thing prevents eating berries. Okay, we can get through this one without eating any berries. Because Freerun is tanky and slow, which means it can use Payback effectively. No, it really won't be close, Hop. Tiger, come in and torch his monkey. Sorry, I'm checking other stuff. I need to check something. There are a couple of Pokemon that I'm trying to prioritize, but that means... Well, it has to do with how we're approaching the wild area. So I'm copying Flygon HG's rule on the topic. At least his rule from earlier runs. I don't know about his more recent stuff. The rule is that we can only catch one Pokemon. Well, we can catch one Pokemon when we first get there, and another Pokemon each time we arrive at... each time we clear a gym. That makes it so we don't have an unreasonable bloat of Pokemon right before the first gym. Like, we could get like 6 extra encounters on our way to the first gym if we did that, and that would just be kind of ridiculous. But it means that I have to be a little bit picky on how I go about my wild area encounters. Ideally, we pick up Pokemon that'll give us either a decent matchup into the upcoming gym, or Pokemon that will give us a good matchup long term. Where are you? That might be who we want to catch here. Hang on. I'm checking something, because there's one Pokemon that we need to prioritize for the third gym, because without it, we have way lower chances of ever getting through it. This one is definitely the right one to prioritize, but it's going to be tricky because it's the least likely thing in its area, which means there's a good chance we get at least one of the other legal encounters before that. It's going to be a bit of a crapshoot regardless of where I try. So the Pokemon that I'm concerned about is an old star from the Shield Height, or from the Ultra Moon Heightlocke. It's wishy-washy. Sorry, I'm trying to check all of the details here to see if there's some way I can force this with Dupes Clause. I really don't think there is. So, wishy-washy. Possible locations for you are Holbury, West Lake Axwell, and East Lake Axwell. The rest are too high level. I don't have the DLC. Yeah, I think we just gotta go for it. And there's a very real chance that we wind up with some complete garbage when we do. But hey, it'll give me stuff to sack. The trouble is, it's not super feasible. I am leading the wrong Pokemon for this. Welcome to the stream, Nico. Alright. We're gonna have to roll the dice if we want wishy-washy. I don't have any immediate plans for very high-value Pokemon other than that, because we have the Pokemon... We have the two main Pokemon that we're gonna want for the first gym. And the Pokemon that I have in mind for the second gym is a guaranteed encounter. And it's on Route 5. Yeah, Route 5. So we've got some wiggle room until we hit the third gym. You know, it just occurred to me, wild area Pokemon are kinda high level compared to what I am now, so I'm gonna take a second. In fact, yeah, because... I almost forgot. So, Motostoke, where are you? There you are. In Motostoke, I have a couple of battles. That I need to take care of. And I want to be at a decent level for those. I didn't mean to run into the Rookity. This will work. Welcome to the stream there. Me? Or Awake? I don't know what you want to go by. I Awake Me. I really should have just swapped out the physical attacker. Luckily, we've gotten till level 20, so we're not that worried about the level cap. Nothing else. Oh, Velma isn't carrying a berry anymore. Kinda forgot about that. That answers that question. I couldn't remember if that had negative priority. It does not. I should have turned off battle animations. The thing is, I'm terrified of forgetting to turn them back on for an important battle. Cheek Pouch is actually a really good ability for a Nuzlocke. In the grand scheme of things, with the right berry, you can get a lot of mileage out of it. I'm just now noticing the state of the house back there, the professor's house, but that's gonna cause massive structural damage. Like, that can't be good for that place. That tree is, like, trying to break into the roof. Alright. Everyone wants to learn stuffed cheese. That's not bad. Honestly... yeah. Let's drop Tail Whip. I mean, it's not a huge deal if we replace a move, because the move reminders are easily accessible in this game. As soon as we hit Motor Stoke, I believe. Funnily enough, the move reminders are the reason that this game can be, like, stupidly easy early on. Because move reminders, the speedrun route in this game uses Arcanine as the main Pokemon. I believe the only Pokemon they really bother training are Arcanine and Excadrill. And they do that by setting the date so that there will be easy Growlithe spawns right in front of the meetup spot. And then they hope for a decent Arcanine when they show up there. But anyway. Because of the move reminder, Arcanine can get, and because of an easily accessible Firestone in the wild area, Arcanine can get, like, Flare Blitz and Extreme Speed, and I think Close Combat? Like, just basically from the start. Come on. So yeah, Arcanine can kind of curb stomp the entire early game just by getting absurdly over-leveled from normal battles and having some really dumb moves. Can't remember the exact strategy for, whatchamacallit, for the second gym. Maybe it's remembering Thunder Fang? That might be it. I will do a quick pass through the wild area in general. Because I want to check the Dynamax dens. Because I think there is a chance for Wishy-Washy to show up in some of the Dynamax dens. And if we could get it, that would be great. Okay, it's snowing at this end of the area. Definitely not bothering with Natu. It's not a high value encounter. Not high value enough to risk one of my opportunities to pick up a Wishy-Washy. Is it snowing everywhere in the wild area today? So yeah, there's one of our locations where we can try to fish up a wishy-washy. We should also check in with the Watt traders, see if there's anything important to pick up there. I don't think so, not for the moment. Yeah, I guess... Oh, no, it's not a snowy day. It's just a couple of snowy areas. Hi, Quagsire. Now we do have to be careful. Because we are susceptible to encounters, and if we encounter the wrong Pokemon and it's legal, we have to try... We either catch it or lose our encounter for an area. Which is why I'm not shaking any trees yet, because Cherim is a legal encounter, and while we can evolve it so it's not terrible, it doesn't really do anything for our current concerns. Okay, most of the wild area does seem to be snowy, though. Oddish is also not terrible, because you can evolve it into Blossom. Weirdly enough, Gloom is too tall. Welcome to the stream, Boo. Gloom is too tall to use in a Heightlocke, but Blossom, one of its evolved forms, isn't, and it was actually one of my best Pokemon in the original Heightlocke that I did in Y, just on my own. But, with that in mind, it's not really a high priority right now. We can get a Gloom pretty much whenever, as long as we go to the right place in the wild area. Alright. No luck on... No luck on the dens, so if we want a wishy-washy, we gotta fish for it. Probably... dang it. Okay, well... That's one of the useless encounters here out of the way, if we can catch it. Which I'm hopeful on. It shouldn't be that difficult to catch. Unfortunately, the odds on getting one of those were pretty high. There's not much that we could do about that. Also, unfortunately, is the number of Pokeballs this thing is breaking out of. Come on! The odds are pretty good on catching this thing, so it's really annoying. How many misses we're getting. Okay, I actually need to swap to Velma now. Just gonna get off one more. Well, no, because a crit into a burn would kill it. Finally, jeez. That was way more trouble than it had any right to be. All for a Pokemon that I don't want, but will take in order to get... better odds on a Pokemon that I do want. Oh, who to name you after? Oh, that should work. Yeah, that'll work. Also, I have a strictly female team so far. What the crap? I gotta back up. Go heal. You know, they've got these flying Pokemon a few places in the park, but since there's no way to encounter Pokemon from a distance, there are some of them that I think are just fully impossible to run into. You know, one run that I've toyed with the idea of for a while is a metronome lock in Pokemon Shield or Sword. See, oh, I just realized I wanted to go and encounter. I wanted to go and talk to the Watt trader over here. See if there's anything worth grabbing. But yeah, a run where I can only use Pokemon that can learn Metronome, and the only move I can use is Metronome. And the crazy thing is, this game is theoretically manageable, because you can buy Metronome TRs from a Watt trader, but it's a random chance, so you might have to take several days to even get access to Metronome. And You know what? And the run can kind of just fall apart. Of course. So yeah, this is why we didn't shake trees before. The run can kind of just fall apart by an important Pokemon choosing to just explode. We're gonna shake the trees around here, get some berries. I appreciate how much they streamlined some of the item pickups and stuff in Sword and in Scarlet and Violet, because it is kind of torturous at some parts of Sword and Shield. So yeah, I usually shake these trees until I hit about 6 berries. Yeah, see, you could get Metronome, and then there are a couple of relatively strong Pokemon that you can get pretty easily to try and get through the early game. If you can get a hold of a Lotad, and a Togepi, you can fully evolve both of those before the first gym. Oh. Of course. One more. Alright, we could do more hunting around the wild area, but that's one of the more boring parts of these runs, so I'll take care of that off stream. There's item gathering and stuff that can be done completely safely, especially if I buy some Pokédolls. But until then... Alright. Oh. Now, one important thing that we need to remember is not to go fishing in this town. Because if we go fishing in this town, we lock ourselves out of the encounter inside the gym, and in the gym we can get a Litwick. I think it might even be the only place we can. It's the only place that's coming to mind where we can get a Litwick. And Litwick is actually really valuable into the third gym. It completely shuts down the first Pokemon the gym leader uses. It's just a generally good thing to have. Okay, so that's the thing telling us that we can access the DLC if we've got it, and it's telling me that I could go and catch a Galarian Slowpoke, which is unfortunately too tall for what we're doing. Good chance we come back for some of this stuff, but for now, well, mainly just the Pokeballs. But for now, we can just head on. Well, we're going to do a bit of exploring on the way, grab a couple of items, but in general, we're heading toward the gym. And at some point, if we can get access to a Milcery, we'll wind up coming back there, I think, in order to pick up the evolution item for it. It might be in Heightlocke, to be honest, I can't quite remember. You. There we go. For some reason they decided to lock one of the settings, and only one of the settings, behind an in-game item. Charcoal is alright, but for now, I'm generally going to be better off favoring the... Oh, come on, dude. I was trying to talk to the Pokeball. Well, for the early part of the game, I'll be better off favoring Oran Berries. Dang it. I thought I could start the Minccino quest early. Pick up the throat spray. May or may not see use, I really don't know, but I like grabbing the potentially useful items. Huh. Yep, the proud tradition of nepotism. None of these numbers are shorter than the others. I guess the limit is 2 feet. So... Yep. 2. Hi, Marnie. I really don't know why they felt the need to have that guy there. Could have just had it in a dialogue box. Hey, stop at the Bidoo drop-in. It's to the left of... It's to the west of this building. Sweet, we got the TM shop. We might want some of these. What can we afford to sell? Unfortunately, money is the one thing that we're limited on, at least in the early game. It takes a decent while to grind up the to pick up a lot of treasures from running around the wild area. Okay, are any of these particularly high value? Not really, not at the moment. False Swipe could come in handy at some point, but I don't have immediate expectations for it. For some reason I had it in my head that the downward path there was farther to the left. I really do wish they had just stuck with the... I would have loved to see more 2D games. So I don't know if they'll ever really go back to the 2D style, but I honestly think it worked better for Pokemon, just like as a franchise. Certain level of simplicity in the world design, not needing to generate 3D graphics, helped with the immersion, among other things. These buildings are so much more realistic than the stuff you'd see in the 2D games that it's pretty much impossible not to notice how absurd this is. Like, this isn't even a city, this is an extremely small town. And that was always the case in Pokemon, but you could ignore it when it wasn't 3D. Alright, we've done our loop of Motostoke. Now we can pick up a couple of things. And clear out a couple of trainers. Oh, I meant to swap up team order. I don't think the crit was necessary. It might have been, but I kind of doubt it. Yeah, I thought it was a spread move. Unfortunately, my special attack has just been tamed. Oh, that was a crit. Surely, right? Yeah. I'm just saving a berry at this point. That's honestly it. Hopefully it doesn't somehow crit me into use a berry range. You know what's sad? I think Pop's Rulu might know double kick at this point. Okay. He doesn't. I've never noticed it before, but can we get her backpack? I don't know if that's available in-game. It probably is. I've just never paid that much attention. I'm gonna be honest, I had completely forgotten that we even had Blossom there on the team. Just entirely slipped my mind. So as far as what's coming up next, the next route we get access to is Route 3, and while there are theoretically 2 potentially valuable Pokemon there, one of them is a 9% encounter rate in the grass, blocked by much more likely Pokemon that are far less valuable. So, we're going to favor the one that we can guarantee, and hopefully pick up the other one in the wild area at a later point. Especially since the 2 encounters that I'm concerned with are Zigzagoon and Clink. Clink is the 9% encounter in the grass, and it can fully evolve, but it doesn't hit its final evolution until level 54. So for a good chunk of the run, it won't actually be that good. And it's guarded by Rookity and Pancham and Sizzlipede, although Sizzlipede is a 1% encounter rate, so less concerning there. Whereas if we just stick to the stuff that spawns over land, we can pick up a Zigzagoon and have guaranteed access to a Galarian Linoone pretty early on. So yeah, the next route is pretty straightforward. We just want to grab a Zigzagoon. Yeah, blah blah blah. I don't even think that was listed on Cerebi. Sorry, I'm messing around with Cerebi on the right. I always forget this path exists. Alright, let's see. So, in order to get access to the next route, we need to fight past Hop, but he has gotten his Pokemon a little bit higher level, so we'll want to pick up a couple of levels. So I think we'll go and do some battling in the wild area. Now the question becomes, who do I want to battle for my XP? If I can get everyone to around level 13, that'll be good enough for me. I'm so tempted to try and take on that Roselia, but I know it's a bad idea. pretty sure these Metapods are going to be some of the quicker options for XP. There's a reason I'm seeking them out. They give extra just because they're evolved. And they're completely non-threatening, which means I don't have to think while going to them. Hombre. You're what, level 14 or something? Yeah, I can take you. With the type advantage, I can win this. Oh wow, that was a crit. I mean, it still would have been winning, but depending on how much he does with Astonish, could have wound up being troublesome. That is kind of the trick to grinding in the wild area, though. If you can just find a Pokemon that can't touch one of your Pokemon, it becomes a lot easier all of a sudden. Like, I'm pretty sure there are some ghost types over here that would give me a crap ton of levels, but can't touch a normal type. Like this Dusko. Oh, it's high level. Okay. We run away. We could have won the fight, because I'm pretty sure that thing didn't have anything to damage a normal type, but it would have given us too many levels. We would have been playing with fire when it comes to our level cap, and I don't want to throw the run down the drain. Not when it takes so long to get the run off the ground. You know what? I bet we can take a Delibird. All it's using is Present, and it should be faster than me, which means Payback should be at high power. Oh wow. Never mind. I thought we'd do a lot more damage to it, just, you know, because it's a Delibird. You know, I would probably be upset about the back-to-back low numbers, but... I mean, it's against a Metapod. It doesn't really matter how quickly we work here. The main reason that I'd want to be able to grind raid dens is just for the XP candy. I want to be able to level up faster than this while I'm on stream. Because I don't really enjoy taking the time to grind against wild Pokemon any more than any of y'all. Okay. The ones that I care about are up to level. I'm not willing to go out of my way to make it perfect, because frankly we've got a lot of level cap to go before we hit the next gym. I don't really need to edge them all that close to anything. Okay, so... I'm aware. Might as well give Blossom some function. Well, if it can manage to hit itself once, this should be a 3-shot. Well, maybe it's a 3-shot regardless. And this should bring in Grookey. There was a chance he didn't go for that. Anyway. My attack is cutting a third now. Like, he's totally going to potion. Alright, fine. Taiga, you're up. I really wish they didn't have him interrupt. I didn't mean to hit it twice. I had forgotten about the time immediately after it happened, but still. You know, Squavit is a surprisingly decent Pokemon for the early game. Like, it doesn't hit that hard, but it takes hits really well. kind of surprised. There's a part of me that wants to just go and kill the Slowpoke at Wedgehurst just to get them to stop bringing it up. Alright, well, we have our encounter. Although I'm a little bit tempted to try and stall for one that has the golden sparkles, that means it gets a free egg move. So that's levels 10 to 14 on this route. If it's 12, it will know Headbutt. Which is a little bit scary, to be honest. But it won't know any dark type moves. Well, it'll know Snarl, but it won't hit very hard with it. I almost ran into a trainer. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I shouldn't try and hold out for the gold sparkles. Fun fact, Galarian Zigzagoon is my favorite shiny of this generation. Okay, I don't think I'm going far enough away to unload them. I thought just crossing into Motostoke would do it, but apparently not. I should probably stop trying for sparkles. Especially since I think that might only be a thing in the wild area. So this is the risky part, because a couple of bad flinches there would have been a problem. Anyway, I got Reflect up, so we should do a little bit better against the physical attacks if we need to. And we didn't need to, because we caught it in one. Also, Taiga evolves at level 16, so we will have another level 16 Pokemon. They're all just turning out to be anime characters so far. We got one cartoon character as well, though. Alright, let's take a look at Ed. Pickup. I was hoping... Oh wow, and a terrible nature. That is not good. We'll get by on its offensive traits. For now, but it is not quite what I was hoping for. Pity too, because it can become pretty threatening. Although apparently this version doesn't learn Belly Drum by level up, which is tragic. Why would you not let this thing learn Belly Drum? Anyway, if nothing else, it'll be another evolved Pokemon for the next gym, which is still worth having. Alright, trainers on this route. We can skip the last at the start. There'll be people that we can't skip. I want to get through the first gym, but I honestly don't know if we're even going to make it. These games go real slow, especially right at the start. Right, you can skip this one. It's just finicky. So you have to wait for her to turn away so that you can run into there. Well, I'll go ahead and do that then. can. The fact that you can never access that place really pisses me off. It's like they go out of their way to show you this place that you will never go to. Makes no sense. Beat up. And we run behind the postman. I think this is the only fight that we have to do on this route. Do I have a Rostberry? I do. I really didn't think that would be faster than us, but I guess I kind of forgot that we're at the same level. And that I am slow. I'll go through all. You can take a hit. Then I'll bring in Blossom. I keep wanting to read that as Blossom. Now this might be stronger. Nope, okay. It has compound eyes, not swarm. I didn't mean to talk to her again. Alright, Galar Mine is unfortunately pretty slim pickings here. So we're just gonna grab a Roggenrola and call it good, because Roggenrola could be decent into the Fire Gym, and nothing else is any better. It does mean we're probably gonna wind up going in and out a few times. There you are. Level 13 Roggenrola would be... Okay. No Rock Stab. Dang it, it's weak armor. You gotta be kidding me. It couldn't even have a usable ability. Yeah, so nothing in this tunnel stays short enough when evolving to be of potential use at higher levels. And none of the Pokemon are that good on their own. Almost everything in this tunnel is legal, I think, except for the Carkol. Oh yeah, this actually works out great. Hi, Toph. I didn't mean to do that. This guy has a Roggenrola. Oh, Roggenrola has an Everstone. Could honestly be handy, but not for now. Even at double speed, it doesn't outpace me. got 3 great balls. I would have been happy with just 2. So, fun thing, if you ever want to get a low-level Carkol in this area, you just beat that guy, and then run back along these tracks after going out, because it'll respawn and give you the encounter. TM list swoosh. Yeah, I don't think I need the scary face TM. Okay, we got a Diglett and a Drillbur. And yeah, it's impossible to get past her without that thing. At least as far as I know. Maybe they've discovered how to balance tech in this game. Yeah. Oh, 5 hit. I'll take it. Alright, we get an evolution. And we are 2 feet tall, even. he is the last trainer. I think we want to level just a bit before we fight him, because this Pokemon actually hit really hard for this level. It's irritating, because he's not a good rival, but... Gosh. I didn't think about that. I didn't think about the fact that it would spit me out there instead of at the main entrance. I mean, it doesn't make a huge difference. I can just fly to the meetup spot to heal, but still. You know what? While we're here... Wedgehurst, here I come to button mash through some cutscenes and get some people off my back. Okay, but do I have to catch it, or can I just beat the crap out of it? Honestly, it's easier to catch it at this point. Just ignore this, I'm never gonna use this thing, but I want to get rid of the pop-ups that keep coming up. Alright. Thank goodness I'm rid of them. What is with that loading time? Alright, let's see here. I wish I had the bike. Honestly, yeah, fight me. Yeah, well, I just realized this thing can probably handle the Delibirds over in the Dappled Grove pretty well. And that should be surprisingly decent XP. Of course it avoided the attack. Why would you want to heal me this time? Present has, I think, like a 10 or 20% chance to heal the target. I keep hoping for that heal. Really? Instead you get a crit. Okay. Really? That's how this is going, is it? Thank you. I think it's like a 25% health regain. Honestly, I'm just gonna do one more because, frankly, I'm not that worried about how much XP gets onto top here. I'm not using it for the next gym, so who cares? I really thought I was gonna miss again. Later, Afghan. Okay, I think one more Delibird kill should get everyone up to level. And we are there. Meant to do that slightly differently. Anyway, I think we're all right to roll with this. So we've got Ed to lead out. The Solosis can't really do anything to him. And then, when it goes down, he'll either bring in Gothita or Hatena. Hatena has fairy coverage, but we can pretty easily switch into Velma, who is especially bulky. Gothita doesn't hit that hard, and we can switch into Freerun, who's just bulky all around. Between those two, I'm not that worried about getting overwhelmed. Unfortunately, I do have to get past all of those trainers on this route again. Oh, never mind. It puts me right there. For some reason I thought it would put me back at the start of the route, which would have been dumb, so I'm glad it didn't, but... Yeah, so you can't cut the corners well enough to catch up to this thing. Believe me, I have tried. Honestly, the only thing about this fight that makes it even remotely difficult is the fact that his team has bizarrely high base power moves for this stage of the game. I don't think I need to switch quite yet. It's only using non-stab disarming voice. I'm gonna get cheeky. I'm gonna fish for the punch. Okay, so that might have been questionable. I don't think that a crit would have killed, but there was a chance. If that was a low roll, a high roll crit would have killed. Anyway. We go Freerin. I really didn't think it would be faster. But yeah, you see how much damage he's outputting at this level. It's kind of dumb. These things all have essentially no stats, and then almost decent enough special attack for a partly evolved Pokemon. Unnecessary risks. Switch in Velma. And Restruggle you. And the unfortunate fact in this next area is that there is almost nothing we can do to improve our chances. In fact, I think there is nothing we can do to improve our chances of getting one of the two Pokemon that I actually want from this area. We just have to get a random encounter in the grass and hope that it isn't the more likely Meowth, or the semi-more likely Joltik, or the less likely Budew and Ferocid. Because our goals here, ideally we would get Milcery, or even better, Cutiefly. Now, I think our best bet is to rely on good old Murphy's Law of Pokemon. That is, lead something that is vulnerable, matches up badly, into what we want to encounter. Hope for the best. The best didn't happen. Sucks to be us. Because, yeah, unfortunately this thing is of legal height, which means we miss out on two genuinely good Pokemon that show up here. One of which I think only shows up here. Oh well, there was almost nothing we could have done about that. Technically, we could have just settled for an overworld spawn Pikachu, but honestly, I think having a steel type is more valuable than that. So yeah, Milcery and Cutiefly were the preferred options there. Budu was kind of a distant third, but oh, who are you gonna be? Another female Pokemon, among other things. That's insane. I had the thought of naming it Wolverine, but it doesn't work. Alright, let's see your summary. Let's see you have pickup. What did I say? Minus defense plus speed. Yeah, I'm not getting lucky with these natures. It's not as bad as Zigzagoons, but it's pretty bad. Alright, we're just gonna send you to a box. I almost walked into a random battle. Alright, well, it's almost 11:30, so I think that's where we're gonna call it for tonight. We didn't make well, we made decent progress, it's just that this game is so slow. Unfortunately, we are not having luck with the team, but then again, most of the encounters that I want are kinda long shots, so we'll see. I think we can guarantee Milcery later. Yeah, so we can guarantee it in the wild area later on. Actually I'm wrong. We can't. We can theoretically encounter it in a raid battle. That's it. So that sucks. Yeah, it only spawns in fog. Can we force Cutiefly somewhere? Okay, yes, we can force Cutiefly, and Cutiefly is actually a pretty dang good offensive Pokemon for this run, so, you know. Small blessings, but yeah. Next time, we'll make our way through the route, head to Turffield, clear the gym. It shouldn't be too much trouble with Velma. But in the meantime, that's where we're gonna leave it. So, I appreciate y'all. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you next time. later, folks. Bye. Bye, 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 bye.